Nkosi siza phambi kobuso bakho. Sibonga for usuku. Siyabonga ukuthi siyakhona ukuhlanganyela sibantwana bakho sifunde izwi lakho. Siyakhuleka ukuthi manje ukuthi cela kungathi ungaba nathi. Sisafunda sichubeka. Kungathi ungasisiza ukuthi sikhona ukuyenza ukufunda iBhayibheli our role of faith. Ilapho khona sifunda kabanzi ngawe. Ilapho khona sifunda okuningi impilo ngothando nangokuthi kumele sinakekelane kanjani. Kwangathi ungaba nathi manje ntambama sifunda uKristu Jesu sakhuleka. Amen. Okay, so in the morning we were able to finish our visuals on Matthew chapter 3 verse 7.
Sikwazile ukuthi siqede imbono yethu kuMatthew 27.
Yeah, 3 verse 7.
3 verse 7, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And what we were able to see is
Into ebesikwazi ukuyibona ukuthi
we've got John,
sibona uJohn.
and John is preaching.
uJohn ke uyashumayela.
John is delivering a message
uJohn uletha umlayezo
to a whole collective people.
Kubantu abahlukahlukene.
And within this group of people,
kuzo lengxenye yabantu
we see that there is present the Pharisees and the Sadducees.
Sibona ukuthi phakathi kwabo khona amaFarisi namaSadusi.
Then John's message
umlayezo kaJohn ke
is a life and death message.
Kumlayezo phakathi kokufa nokuphila.
And within his message, he starts giving a warning that cannot just be seen on surface level.
Emlayezweni wakhe uletha isixwayiso esingeke sibonakale sobala musibheka nje.
In order for you to see, is that you ask yourself a few questions and visualize what you're reading.
Kodwa ukuthi ukwazi ukusibona kumele uzibuze imibuzo ethize bese uzama ukubuka ngamehlo engqondo okwenzakalayo lapho.
And apply a few rules.
Bese uthatha imithetho ekhona ke bese uyayibeka ukuthi ikwazi ukukusiza ukuthi ikwazi ukuphincazela kahle.
So within what John has said, we were able to juxtapose his message.
Kulokhu uJohn ebeka kusho besikwazi ke ukuthi sixhumanise umlayezo wakhe.
And we saw that the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the whole collective, were juxtaposed to a venomous snake. Yes, and this venomous snake, we saw that when we checked its meaning, its whole meaning, we saw that it represents something that is full of deceit, a false message, lies.
Makubukwa ke le nyoka lena enoshevu omningi ithiwa mayibukwa kubonakala ubuqili namanga kuyona.
And we saw that all of this within this venomous snake
Masibuka kukho konke lokhu kule nyoka lena enoshevu omkhulu
is that it is so dangerous. It leads to eternal death.
inengozi ngale ndlela ukuthi ingaletha ukufa kwaphakade.
And John's message is a message of hope.
Umlayezo kaJohn kuwumlayezo lethi themba.
It's a message that gives light.
Kuwumlayezo oletha ukukhanya.
And also it points to life.
Bese ukukhomba empilweni ke futhi.
So we also saw that
siphinde sabona futhi ukuthi
that when we look at baptism, it represents the death and resurrection.
sabona ukuthi uJohn wayeveza ukuphila ke nokuvuka futhi.
Yeah, when we look at baptism, it represents death and resurrection.
Masibuka umbhabhadiso usivezela ukufa nokuvuka futhi.
So when we look at the whole symbology and how John brings his message, during this time,
Masibuka ke umfanekiso nendlela uJohn aletha ngayo umlayezo ngaleso sikhathi leso.
this death gives you life.
Siyabona ukuthi lokho kunikeza impilo.
And this gives eternal death.
Ngapha ke bese uthola ukufa ke okunaphakade.
So we can see that with this whole structure, with Matthew 3 verse 7, what we visualized.
Siyabona ke masibuka sonke le structure sibuka Matthew 3 verse 7 ukuthi yini esingayifanekisa ngamehlo engqondo.
We can see that the words are there.
Come again?
The words.
Okay, amagama asetshenziswayo.
So the words are there.
Amagama khona lapho khona.
The words can be seen, can be read.
Amagama ayabonwa futhi ayafundeka.
But then when it comes to the structure, when it comes to the deeper understanding of what God wants us to see,
Kodwa makufika ekujuleni ukuthi uNkulunkulu afisa sikuzwe.
it is not so simple.
Akululanga ngaleyo ndlela.
It's already a different approach to what they've been used to.
Kuyindlela ehlukile kunale abayijwayele.
And it was mentioned in the morning that, they used to circumcision, and now, it's totally different. He's a prophet that using a method that's totally different to what they've been using, which is baptism.
Besazi ke ukuthi kuqala bebasebenzisa ukusoka ngendlela ejwayelekile kodwa manje izinto besezenziwa ngendlela ehlukile ngoba manje kuvele isivumelwano esisha ekuwumbhabhadiso.
And we can see also how the leaders in this time
siyabona masibuka abaholi bangaleso sikhathi
only have a death message to the people.
Siyabona ukuthi bebanomlayezo wokufa ebantwini.
So I don't know if anyone wants to add to the summary that we did this morning.
Angazi noma ukhona ofuna ukuchayisela kulesifinqo senzile sasekuseni.
Maybe there's something that I left out.
Mhlambe ngabe khona ngokushile.
Before we continue.
Ngaphambi kokuba siqhubeke.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah,
Yes.
just to add, we just see that the approach which the prophet John was using
Masibuka nje ukuthayisela indlela lena uJohn uMbhaphatisi bekayisebenzisa
in the literal sense, if someone responds to this emotionally,
mayibuka ngendlela eyiyona ngqo umuntu mangabe uphendula kulokhu ngendlela yemizwa
the message doesn't cater for your emotions. It sounds so rude and provocative.
umlayezo awuzwelani nemizwa yakho uzwakala ulihlaza ongendlela engemnandi
But the deeper meaning of the message has got mercy and grace in it, only when you respond correctly.
kodwa mawubuka ukujula komlayezo kunomusa nothando kodwa mangabe uzela ngendlela noma uzwisisa ngendlela ekuyiyona
Yeah, that's all.
Yes, that's very
Yikho
true.
lokho.
Thank you for that additional input.
kuyiqiniso lokho siyabonga ngokunakezela lokho
And this is also how parable methodology can be so harsh.
yingakho imfundiso yemfanekiso iphinde ibe nzima ngale ndlela
And when I say harsh now, I'm talking about the metaphorical language of it.
mangithi ibuye ibe bukhali ngikhuluma ngendlela yokufanekisa
Because when we look at metaphors, metaphors are direct.
masibuka indlela yokuchaza izinto kuthiwa lokho umfanekiso wemetaphor uqondile ngqo
But there's also beauty when you zoom in.
kodwa khona okuhle mangabe uyangenelela phakathi ubukisisa
And the other thing of parable methodology
okunye ke ngemfundiso le mfanekiso
is that it doesn't do away with the Bible.
ukuthi ayihlukani neBhayibheli noma imfundiso yeBhayibheli
Yes, it doesn't do away with the Bible. It actually helps us to understand the writings even better.
yeah ayiqhelelani neBhayibheli kodwa iyenza ukuthi sizwisise imibhalo kangcono
And the more we exercise this,
masiqhubeka sikwenza lokhu
because we know practice makes perfect.
ngoba siyazi ukuthi into masiyifunda siyenza sigcine singompetha kuyona
It will be easier for us to to learn what God wants us to to learn.
kuzoba lula kuthina ukuthi sikufunde lokho uNkulunkulu afisa ukuthi sikufunde
Okay, so I don't know if Dudu is still present, Victor.
ngazi noma uDudu usasekhona no Victor
So as we're about to continue, when we did all of this, Dudu now started suggesting how this can look when it comes to Adventists and us in the movement.
uDudu kuthiwa uye waba nendlela abona ngayo ukuthi izinto zingavela kanjani masibuka esikhathi sikusona ku-movement
And with whatever it is, whatever thought she's going to share,
kukho konke lokhu angasisherela khona
I think it's really important that we all continuously, participate.
ngicabanga ukuthi kubalulekile ukuthi siqhubeke si-participate noma sibonisane
Yeah. Dudu, are you there?
Yes, I
Ngakukhona
am.
Dudu.
Yes, I'm here. When I was reading this Matthew 3, verse 7,
Uthi
I could
ngikade
see
efunda
that.
uMatthew 3 verse 7
Sorry.
okay you can continue
Okay. And then I started to relate the story of John the Baptist with the Sadducees, with the Sadducees and the Pharisees.
Uye
And then
waqala waqhathanisa istori sakaJohn nabaFarisi namaSadducees futhi.
And then when John called them the snakes, with the poisonous snakes,
uJohn ke mayebiza ngeinyoka ezinoshevu.
I started to compare the movement and the Adventist church.
Waseqala ke uqhathanisa ke i-movement nebandla lama-Adventist.
We all know that the Adventists think that they have the proper message.
Siyazi ke ukuthi ama-Adventist bacabanga ukuthi banomlayezo kuyiwona wona.
But they don't want to listen to the movement.
Kodwa abafisi noma bazimiselanga ukuthi bayilalele i-movement.
Even if we visit them, they will never give us the stage so that we can explain why we separated from them.
Noma singabavakashela ngeke basinikeze ithuba lokuthi sizame ukubachazela ukuthi kungani sesahlukana nabo.
They think we have lost.
Bacabanga ukuthi silahlekile.
So when I started to compare, I looked at, I noticed that if I look inside the church, they are like Pharisees and Sadducees. They are like the snakes that have the killing poison.
Ngithe mangiqala ukuqhathanisa ngibuka enkonzweni ngabona ukuthi kukhona amaFarisi namaSadducees futhi ke bangaqhathaniswa ney'nyoka lezi ezinoshefu omkhulu.
Because at the moment they are busy going to the other people outside, teaching them their poison.
Ngoba ke bayaphuma baye ngaphandle bafundise abanye abantu babanika ushevu.
And then I could see that the movement has got the eternal message.
Ngiye ngabona ke ukuthi i-movement inomlayezo ngaphakathi.
And then the Adventists, they have the killing message, which leads to death.
I-movement inomlayezo ophilisayo kanti ke maqhathaniswa
I'm sorry.
nama-Adventist
I'm
anomlayezo
sorry.
obulala. Okay.
I'm saying the movement has got the proper message that leads them to heaven, and then the Adventist has got the message that leads to hell.
Okay. Kuchazwa ukuthi ke i-movement inomlayezo oyisana ezulwini maqhathaniswa nama-Adventist inomlayezo oyisa esihogweni.
That is what I can say.
Ilokho ke bengikusho.
Okay, thank you for your input, Dudu.
Siyabonga ke ngombono wakho ke Dudu.
With what she has said,
Ngalokho akushilo,
what do you think of it, Tsepo?
Tshepo ngabe ucabangani ngakho?
Hello.
Hello.
She's quite right what she's saying when you are comparing a movement and because
Futhi uqinisile ngalokho akushoyo uma uqhathanisa i-movement ne-SDA.
in the morning it was made clear that it could not be that both John and the other party they can have truth in them. It was only one part.
Ekuseni kubonisiwe ngendlela esobala ukuthi awukwazi ukuthi amahlangothi amabili abe neqiniso. Elinye ihlangothi likaJohn kumele ngabe neqiniso, elinye ngabe alikhuluma kuyikona.
And this is what John was making it clear that I have the true message.
Iloko bakucacisa kuveza ngendlela esobala kuJohn ukuthi unomlayezo weqiniso.
And as harsh as the metaphor can be, this was saying, you guys don't have a true message.
Njengoba bobukhali ngakhona lo mfanekiso kodwa bowubonisa ukuthi abanawo umlayezo weqiniso.
So yes, it's true what Tutu is saying if you are comparing a movement and the SDA church.
Kuyiqiniso lokushiwo uDudu mawuqhathanisa movement ke nebandla lama-Adventist.
We cannot both of us have the true message. It's only one part.
Asikwazi ukuthi sibe nomlayezo weqiniso sobabili kuzoba uhlangothi olulodwa oluzoba neqiniso.
And it's clear that it's the movement.
Kusobala ukuthi kuyi-movement enomlayezo weqiniso.
Okay, I'll end here for the sake of time.
Ngizogcina lapho ngenxa yesikhathi.
Thank you very much, Tepo, for your thoughts and input.
Siyabonga Tepo kakhulu ke ngombono kanti nezimvo zakho.
Sitshengisiwe.
No, sitshengisiwe.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, I just want to add from what Dudu has laid down.
Okay.
Ngifuna ukuthayisela kuloko uDudu bekusho.
If we look at John, he's called John the Baptist
Masimbheka uJohn ubizwa ngoJohn umbhaphatisi.
because he brought baptism in
Ngoba
that
waletha
dispensation,
umbhapatiso kuleso sigaba ngaleso sikhathi.
which he had not traced in the Old Testament.
Asiboni
Or in
umsukela wakhona encwadini yakudala noma iTestament elidala.
Yeah, we don't have anywhere where we can point anything, even from the prophets, which was pointing to baptism. But we see John. Okay.
Okay, nabaprofeti abakhulumi lutho ngombhapatiso.
But we see John baptizing we can say from Norway, John is bringing baptism, which brings all people together.
Kodwa siyambona uJohn ebhapatisa kunganamsukela noma kunganala akuthatha khona ukubhapatisa bese kuba yikona lokho kusondeza abantu kubahlanganise.
And he is now bringing people on the same level. Way back, if we look at baptism, it's a symbol of a circumcision. Where in the Old Testament, it was only done to males, excluding females.
Siyabona ukuthi umbhapatiso uletha ukulingana wenza abantu balingane bonke ngoba masiqhathanisa sibuka kuTestament elidala bekusokwa and ukusokwa bekusokwa abantu besilisa nje kuphela so bekungekho ukulingana ngenye indlela.
And if we look at that dispensation, the Pharisees couldn't understand it during that time. So mostly they were against John's teachings.
I'm sorry, please continue.
Mostly the Pharisees were against John's teachings.
Masibukisisa abafarisi bebengahambisani nemfundiso kaJohn.
When we apply that in our time, we can see it. The movement now is bringing people together regardless of your gender, which means the LGBTQI plus community. The gospel has to reach them because it's the gospel of life.
Okay. Maqhathanisa i-movement iyafaniswa noJohn ke mawubuka namhlanje ngoba i-movement ithatha lokhu uhlanga bonke abantu ngokuhlukana kwabo nalaba bobulili abahlukene ngokuhlukana kwabo bayeza bayanikeza umlayezo bayakwazi ukuthi babe nethuba lokuthi bawamukele umlayezo nabo.
which when we look at the SDA, the conference church is against it, just as the Pharisees were during that time.
Kodwa uma uqhathanisa ngolunye uhlangothi ubuka-ke ibandla lama-SDA abavumelani-ke nabantu labo bobulili obuhlukene bangene. Ilokhu obokubona uma ubheka ngesikhathi sesendulo, isikhathi saKristu, uma ubuka ama-Sadducees namaFarisi.
And if you can ask the movement, where are we getting this LGBTQ to be involved? We don't have a trace, but all what we understand is because of the methodology that the kingdom of God is the kingdom of love and for everyone.
Uma ubuka embhalweni akukho la sikwazi ukuthi sibone khona ubulili obuhlukene bungena enkonzweni, kodwa okusisizayo imfundiso lena emifanekiso esisizayo ukuthi sikwazi ukuhlangana sonke sibe yimbumba.
So we can contrast when it comes to common thing that we have, the kingdom of life and versus this kingdom of death, where the Pharisees and the SDA decide is this present movement, which is us, and the movement in time of John. There is one thing that I can see when I look at the examples that I brought.
Masiqhathanisa obekwenzeka kuqala namhlanje uma ubuka uJohn kanye nabaFarisi bese ubuka i-movement namhlanje yethu bese ubuka ne-Adventism, kukhona ukuhambisana nokuhlukana okubonayo uma uqhathanisa ukuhlukanisa futhi.
We see sexism and nationalism.
Sibona ke na ukucwasa ngokobulili futhi nokucwasa ngokobuzwe.
Amen. That's all I.
Amen. Yikho lokho engingakusho.
Thank you so much for your thoughts, Jengisiwe.
Siyabonga ke indlela osibonisa ngayo Jengisiwe.
It's really I'm really I marvel at the point where you said you know, in the past it were males that were being circumcised.
Kungihlaba umxhele ke ukukhuluma usikhumbuza ukuthi bekwabantu besilisa ababesokwa.
And now when it comes to baptism, it is a call or an invite to everyone.
Kodwa masubuka umbhabhadiso ke kuwubizo la ukuthi wonke umuntu makeze azobhabhadiswa nabesifazane bayamukeleka manje.
Okay, any thoughts? Any more thoughts?
Ngabe ikhona eminye imibono okhona unembono mhlambi?
Any more thoughts?
Ngabe ikhona eminye imibono ekhona esiyibonayo?
Yes,
Hello?
Victor?
Hello?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I just want to add on what they have already spoken of. So, looking into John as he was baptizing people,
Masibuka uJohn ngenkathi ebhabhadisa abantu.
we can see that he was baptizing all people.
Siyabona ukuthi bekabhabhadisa bonke abantu.
Although our midnight high message was not answered during that time.
Noma ke umlayezo ke wokukhala kwasebusuku bungakacaci ngaleso sikhathi.
But we can see that progressively it began by John, although he did not understand what he was doing.
Siyabona ukuthi ngokuqhubeka ke uqale ngayo uJohn noma bengazwisisi ngokuphelele ukuthi bekenzani kahle hle.
Because he baptized both male and female.
Ngoba wabhabhadisa abantu besifazane nabesilisa.
So we can see that he was bringing equality, but he did not understand in the sense of equality as our midnight high message.
So bekaletha ukulingana kodwa bengazwisisi ukulingana ngendlela esizwisisa ngayo thi.
Yeah, this is what I want to do.
Yiko lokho engifuna ukukuchaza.
Yes, thank you very much, Victor. Deborah,
Siyabonga kakhulu.
Oh, maybe I want to comment. I don't know whether it is right, but in the morning, someone mentioned that the Pharisees and the Sadducees came to Jesus. No, I mean, came to Job, not because really they want.
Bengifuna ukuchaza ngingazi noma kulungile kodwa khona ekuseni oshilo ukuthi abafarisi namasejuzi waza kuJohn.
It's not because they wanted the message, really.
Hayi ngoba bebafuna umlayezo.
They were the children of Abraham, you know, as if from the beginning, their culture, they took cultures, they read the Bibles from Abraham. There was that there's no other except Israel.
Siyazi ukuthi kwasekuqaleni abantwana baka-Abraham bakhula banalo lolwazi ukuthi abantwana baka-Abraham bayenza amasiko bekwenziwa Abraham bayafunda emibhalweni bayalandelela konke bekwenziwa.
And they, as people have commented, the circumcision was only of males.
Njengoba abantu besibechazile ukusokwa bekwenziwa kubantu besilisa nje kuphela.
And the women were supposed to obey, and that is what God had said.
Abantu besifazane bekumele nje bathobe and bekushiwo ukuthi uNkulunkulu ukushilo lokho.
They were not willing to take a new thing.
Bebengafisi ukuthi kube nokusha abakuzwisisayo.
Now John is baptizing, as people have already said, women are coming.
Njoba ke uJohn bekabhabhadisa ke abantu bebasho ukuthi okay nabasifazane bayeza.
They were having many questions why there are now women involved.
Bekuba nemibuzo eminingi ukuthi kungani abantu besifazane bengenelela manje kulesivumelwano.
As from the Abraham, their women have not been recognized.
Kusukela ku-Abraham ke abantu besifazane bebangabonwa ngalutho.
A man is the head of a family and nothing else.
Uyindoda bekuyinhloko yekhaya kuphelela lapho.
Now they didn't really want to have a change. They want to hear what Jesus was saying. They were vipers, yes.
Bebelindele befisa ukuzwa ukuthi uJesu uzothini.
Their message was to kill.
Bebayinyoka bona umlayezo wabo bewukubulala.
Death and resurrection was not. They didn't take it that way.
Masibuka ukufa nokuvuka bona bebengakuboni ngaleyo ndlela.
As it is for baptism.
Njengoba kuwumlayezo noma imfundiso yombhaphathiso.
As we compare today with the SDA.
Masiqhathanisa namhlanje nebandla lama-SDA.
They say it is the movement. There is no other movement apart from SDA.
Bathi ayikho enye movement engaba khona ngaphandle kwale bandla lama-SDA.
And they believe that there is no other truth which is going to come.
Bakholelwa ukuthi alikho elinye iqiniso elingeza ngaphandle kwaleli abalaziyo.
They were chosen from 1840 up to Millerite history up to the end.
Bakholelwa ukuthi kusukela kumlando wama-Millerites bakhethwa bona bazoba yibo kuze kufike ekugcineni.
And the Bible, they read it as it is.
Bafunda iBhayibheli njengoba linjalo.
What God said with Abraham throughout history.
uNkulunkulu abeka kushilo ke noma isizukulwane sika-Abraham mawubuka umlando wakhona.
How can we now talk about LGBTQ? How do we talk in equality, women and men? It cannot work.
Singakhuluma kanjani ngoshintsho, sikhuluma kanjani manje nabantu besifazane nabantu besilisa ngokulingana kwabo akukwazi ukuthi kusebenze lokho.
We are changing the Bible.
Bathi sishintsha iBhayibheli.
We are now saying women are equal. It is not. God said the woman is inferior and they are subordinate to men.
Bathi thina sithi abantu besifazane balingana nabantu besilisa ngeke kwenzeke ngoba uNkulunkulu ushilo ukuthi umuntu wesifazane ungaphansi kwayesilisa. So thina sishintshe kushiwo uNkulunkulu sisho kwethu esikuthandayo.
So the way as the Sadducees and the Pharisees, they had the other idea why what they were waiting was political.
Abafarisi namaSadusi bebebhekile noma lokho bebekubuka noma ngendlela yesipolitiki.
The one who was to come was to relieve them from the Roman Empire domination.
Babebheke ukuthi lona ozoza ke asuke kubona ubeyazosuka
the Advent think that we are teaching things which are not in the Bible.
Manje ke abama-Adventist ibandla lakhona likholela ukuthi esikufundisayo akusikho khona eBhayibhelini.
So far that I don't know, but that is what I can say, that the difference is that is the difference. That is a contrast how Adventist and the other people, the Sadducees.
Yilokho engingakusho ke masiqhathanisa ibandla lama-Adventist sibuka namaFarisi namaSadusi.
Oh, wow. You know, as you were speaking,
Yazi njoba obukhuluma
it just synced in my mind
ndiye kwahlala nca engqondweni yami
that without parable methodology,
ukuthi ngaphandle kwemfundiso yomfanekiso
you won't understand the message of equality.
angeke ukwazi ukuzwisisa umlayezo wokulingana.
You know, you said that Adventists are saying we are coming now with a message that is not from the Bible, a message that is our own.
Njengoba kushiwo ukuthi ama-Adventist athi asizi nomlayezo ophuma eBhayibhelini, bathi siza nomlayezo okowethu.
And we know that, you know, whatever assumptions they're making, it is false.
Siyazi ke ukuthi izinsolo noma abakushoyo akusiyiqiniso.
Because it is this methodology that helps us to understand God and the kingdom, God's kingdom.
Ngoba kuyilo mlayezo noma lemfundiso esisiza ukuthi sikwazi ukuzwisisa uNkulunkulu sizwisise nekingdom yakhe ke noma umbuso wakhe.
And just, you know, just the comments that we just had now.
I-comment esiqeda ukuyithola khona manje.
Really, it just stamps in my mind. I think
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Oh, it just stamps in my mind.
Ngeke kwahlala ke emqondweni yami.
Thank you very much for that comment.
Siyabonga kakhulu ngalelo phuzu.
Okay, so any other comments on this? Any other additional thoughts before we move on? We were given a Bible verse that you know, and I think we need to address it.
Ngaphambi kokuba siqhubeke ngabe ukhona ofuna ukuthayisela kube nevesi esiphiwe lona laseBhayibhelini and ngiyacabanga ukuthi kumele sixoxe ngalo.
Sarah? Any thoughts on what has been shared?
Ngabe khona Saro nakho kuloko bekuchaziwe.
Ayikho.
Okay, thank you.
Siyabonga.
Bongi?
Bongi.
Yeah, I think you have bad reception. I cannot hear a
Ngicabanga
thing.
ukuthi network ayikho yinhle asikwazi ukuzwa lutho.
I don't know if you can hear us, but it's okay.
Angazi noma uyasizwa kodwa kulungile akunankinga.
Sfiso?
Isifiso Mdluli.
Yes, Rasedi, I heard what they are saying, the people, all of them.
We have Sis.
Uthi
Yeah,
uSifiso
sis,
uzwile konke okushiwo.
I understand even the Deborah said that the things that she said, I understand what they are saying, all of them. Even the equality, I understand. Even the baptism of John and everything there, I understand what they are saying. Even me,
Uthi uSifiso uyazwisisa ke yonke into eshiwoyo. Nokulingana nombhabhadiso yonke into.
and even the message of John was very powerful to the Sadducees and the Pharisees, because when I was thinking there, he bring us that even this our time, it's like this our time now. Even the issue of the dress, it came with it came with the message of John. The change of the leadership, it came with the message of John. He knows everything, John. That's why I say this message is powerful for this study for today, Rasedi. Yinhle kakhulu. Ngiyayibonga le message leya today, because nokugqoka kukhona lapho. Everything kutshentsha kwama-leadership konke kukhona. Ngiyabonga ukuthi ngi-understand this time this message Rasedi. Ngiyabonga uNkulunkulu akubusise. Thank you.
Sabonga Sfiso for ukungeza kwakho, sabonga khona uNkulunkulu akubusise.
Okay. Thank you for your contributions, Sifiso.
Okay. Milton, do you want to add something, or can we continue now to the next verse?
Can you remind me the verse which was mentioned?
Okay, let us continue. It is Matthew 25, verse 2.
Okay.
Or maybe 25 verse.
If we can all go to Matthew 25, verse 2.
Masingaya ke ku-Matthew 25 verse 2.
So yesterday when we were going through each methodology,
Izolo ngesikhathi siya kumlayezo wemifanekiso wayo.
I'm not sure the time when the person sent or asked us to try this. It might have been when we were doing the chiasm.
Akukhumbula isikhathi kahle hle ngathi sikwenza lokho, but mhlambe ngalesikhathi sizama ukwenza i-chiasm.
Yes, and as we moved to compare and contrast methodology, that's when I realized that there was a comment on the chat. Yes, as we moved to compare and contrast, that's when I realized that there was a comment of this verse on the chat.
Ngenkathi siqhathanisa sihlukanisa yila ngiyabona khona ukuthi bekunothayisela kuleli verse leli.
So we can all open our Bibles. If you have a Zulu and Colin, I don't know if you have a Zulu Bible, or must we just read and you translate what we read?
No, I don't have the Zulu Bible. We can just read, then I will try to translate. Unless if there's someone, then maybe we can do that.
Victor, do you have a Zulu Bible there by you?
Victor?
No, I don't have
Bible.
English. We only have English.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks. Okay, so Matthew 25 verse 2 reads,
Matthew 25 verse 2 fundeka ngale ndlela.
and 5 of them were wise and 5 were foolish.
Uthi abayihlanu bebahlakaniphile, abahlanu bebayiwula.
So how can we help this person? I don't think they're in the meeting now, but they were asking, what about this verse?
Angazi singamsiza kanjani umuntu lo kodwa akekho lana manje bekabuza ukuthi kuthiwani ngale verse.
And that's when I started assuming that maybe it was during the time when we were doing the chiasm, the mirror-like methodology.
Ingakho ngingacabanga ukuthi bekungenkathi besenza i-chiasm masibuka isifundo leso sakhona.
Though they're not present currently, I'm sure we can go through this, and if ever they get time to watch the presentations, they can, they can get their answer.
Noma bangekho phakathi la kuZoom, ucabanga ukuthi siqhubeke sizama ukuphendula bazothi uma bekwazi ukubukela ngesinye isikhathi bazokwazi ukuthi bayithole impendulo.
So there's the kingdom of heaven.
Sorry?
Yes, Rasedi.
Or somebody said the kingdom of heaven?
So this verse was put under which methodology? Was it chiasm or content? The person had put this under which methodology?
So this person just put it on the chat, but I think it was during the time we were doing the chiasm that they put this this verse on the chat. Though I only saw it when we were doing the compare and contrast.
Okay.
So I'm not sure exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want me to try?
Yes. We can give you the first go ahead.
Okay. So I think before we get to verse 2,
Ngiyacabanga ukuthi ngaphambi kokuba singene ku-verse 2.
if you go back to verse 1.
Okay. So okay, so let me stop you there. But so why do you want us to go to verse 1?
Okay, because verse 2 starts with and, so it's an extension of something which is already mentioned.
Okay, yes, thank you. You can continue.
Okay, so verse 2, it's an extension of verse 1.
Verse 2 uyaqhubeka ukusukela ku-verse 1.
So verse 1 begins with the kingdom of heaven is likened unto 10 virgins.
Kuthiwa-ke umbuso wezulu ufaniswa ney'ntombi ezilishumi.
So there, the word which can give us a clue which methodology works here, it's likened.
Into esibonisayo ukuthi kusetshenziswa muphi umfanekiso noma imfundiso ile gama leli elithi ufaniswe.
So I think it falls under compare and contrast. There's also Yeah, that's what I see for now.
Ngiyacabanga ukuthi ubekwe kokuqhathanisa nokuhlukanisa futhi iloko engingakusho kwamanje.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, siyabonga.
Okay, so because of the word likened,
Ngale gama lokuthi ufaniswe
because of this word, the suggestion was it's a compare and contrast.
ngenxa legama leli lokuthi ukufaniswa sibona ukuqhathanisa nokuhlukanisa.
And what was the other one you said?
Iliphi elinye igama ewalisho kanje?
Hello?
What was the other rule you said? A method, sorry?
I thought I wanted to mention repeat and enlarge, but I was like reserved on that. I think, yeah, to answer the question, which methodology this parable fits in, I wanted to end with compare and contrast. I think you asked it, why did we include verse 1? Because the rule we were supposed to read verse 2 first. And then we say verse 2 begins with end. So we cannot get the context in verse 2 without reading verse 1. So we are forced to go back and read the verse before, which brings us to repeated and large concepts. So there might be those two together.
Okay. So because verse 2 begins with and, we need to go back.
Maqhubeka iverse leli lithi bese ubuyele emuva.
To the verse before.
Sibuyele evesini elilaqala ke.
And once you do that, then you see that we can also apply repeat and enlarge.
Mawukwenza lokho siyabona ukuthi sibona impindo nokwandiswa futhi.
Okay, so let me see on my notes, just for those who did not join us yesterday when we were discussing this, I want to see if I can just maybe read the definitions and of compare, contrast, and repeat and enlarge. Ne? Based on
Hello,
what? Based on these thoughts. Yes, Teppa?
Okay. I just wanted to say, even the verse itself suggests that it's a compare and contrast because it says 5 were wise, 5 were foolish. So wise and foolish is a compare and contrast.
Okay, here's another thought again. Okay, because of 5 were wise, 5 were foolish, we see that compare and contrast. I'm gonna write the 5 in numerical, not I won't word it. It starts with wise, ne? Yeah. And then
Enza abahlanu bebahlakaniphile abahlanu bebayiwula, so sibona ukuqhathaniswa kokufana nokuhlukene futhi.
so we've got 2 witnesses of a compare and contrast.
Sesithole abafakazi ababili abakhuluma ngokuqhathanisa okuhlukana nokufana.
Is there anyone with a different thought or with an additional thought?
Ngabe ukhona ofuna ukuchaza noma obona ngendlela ehlukile?
Hello?
Yes, Milton?
So the other thing also, then shall the kingdom of heaven. So kingdom of heaven, it's the subject which is being introduced in this verse,
Okay,
which we
so
know.
our subject here is the kingdom of heaven.
Yes. And it's a spiritual thing, but it's gonna be likened unto 10 virgins, which are a literal
Okay,
group of
so
people.
yes, so this is spiritual. I'm gonna put an S here. Okay, let me just write it. Oh, it doesn't matter. And this is likened, ne?
Mhm.
Kuthiwa lokhu kuyafaniswa.
Unto something that's natural.
Yes.
Kufaniswa nento ekhona kwimvelo.
Okay. Continue, sorry.
So we also see the natural and the spiritual. It's also in this.
Sibona okwemvelo nokomoya kukhona lana.
Yeah, it's like there's so many methods, but you can see how they're working together. You know, how lovely, you know, it is, okay?
Kunendlela eziningi ezihlukene kodwa siyabona ukuthi ziyasebenzisana kamnandi ziyavumelana.
Okay, any other thoughts before? Okay, I read.
Ngabe ikhona eminye imibono ngaphambi kokuba ngifunde?
Any other thoughts?
Ngabe ikhona eminye imibono?
Hello.
Yes, Chengisiwe.
Okay, I think with our message, we get more information in much contrasting than comparing.
Ngibona ukuthi kumlazo wethu sithola okuningi mangabe siyahlukanisa kunokuthi masiqhathanisa kufanayo.
Can you please say that again?
I'm saying we get more when we contrast much than when we are comparing, because comparing, we are looking at similarities, but when contrasting, we are looking at the difference. So the kingdom of life and the kingdom of death, if we contrast it, that's where we see the difference, which is good and which is bad.
Uthi lana kakhulu sibona ukuqhathanisa okuhlukanisayo kunokuqhathanisa okufanisayo. Ngoba masibuka ukuqhathanisa okunye kuveza ukufa okunye kuveza ukuphila.
Okay, thank you.
Siyabonga.
Okay, so already Chengisiwe has said you know, some of the things I wanted to say as I've been reading from my notes.
Ngitshengisiwe sekasho ezinye izinto bengithi ngizozisho mangifunda amanotes wami.
Is that when you compare and contrast, you need to have two things, two objects.
Ukuthi mawuhlukanisa uqhathanisa mele ube nama objects amabili.
And when you compare, it's when you see how things are similar.
Mawuqhathanisa ngokufanele ubone ukufana kwezinto khona.
And then while when you contrast is when you see the difference.
Mawuqhathanisa ngokuhlukene ke ila ubona khona ukuhlukana kwazo izinto noma ungafani kwazo.
Okay, so we are going to use this and we're going to do similar to what we did with that verse in Matthew chapter 3.
Sizobheka le verse senze bese kwenzile ke ngoMatthew 7:3.
Is that fine?
Ngabe kulungile lokho?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Tepper. Yeah, you're still there. We already know which methodology we're going to use, compare, contrast.
Sesiyazi-ke imfundiso esizoyibuka ngokuqhathanisa nokuhlukanisa.
And this gives, with this methodology, we can use Matthew 25 verse 2 as a reference for maybe for one whom is learning to see how it works.
Singabuka uMatthew 25 verse 2 ukuze sibone ukuthi kusebenza kanjani kahle lokho.
Yes. So let us visualize the Matthew 25 verse 2.
Masizama ukumbukisisa yo Matthew 25 verse 2.
Okay, so Tsepo?
Ntsepo?
Yes, Rasedi.
Yeah, let us visualize it.
Masizama ukuthi siyibone ngamehlo engqondo.
You can tell me what to draw, what you see, and then I will draw it on the board.
Ungangitshela okubonayo bese uzokudweba Rasedi.
Okay, I think I see 10 visions with and then 5 are wise, 5 are foolish. Then that means we have 2 groups.
Uthi ubona intombi ezilishumi ezinhlanu zihlakaniphile ezinhlanu ziyiwula ngakho-ke sibona amaqembu amabili ahlukene.
I'm gonna draw all 10, but I'm gonna change colors.
Ngizodweba intombi ezilishumi kodwa ngizohlukanisa imbala.
Okay, so this is what Tepo sees.
Uthepha uthi
10
ubona
virgins,
lokho.
and 5 are wise and 5 are foolish.
Ezinhlanu zihlakaniphile ezinhlanu ziyiwula.
Okay, Sarah, do you see the same thing as Tepo?
Sara, ngabe ubona into efanayo nale mbona uThepho?
When we read Matthew 25 verse 2, it says,
Masifunde Matthew 25 verse 2.
and 5 of them were wise and 5 of them were foolish.
Ithi abahlanu bebehlakaniphile abahlanu beyiwula.
And then Tepo says he sees 10 in total, 5 wise, 5 foolish.
uThepha uthi ubona intombi ezilishumi ayiphelele. Abahlanu bahlakaniphile abahlanu bayiwula.
And this is what we drew.
Ilokho esesakudweba phansi lana.
Do you also see the same thing in verse 2?
Ngabe ubona okufanayo nawo verse 2.
Sitshengisiwe? Do you see the same thing as Tepo?
Sitshengisiwe ngabe ubona okufanayo noThepho.
Who sees something different?
Ubani obona okuhlukile?
Sorry, come again, excuse.
I just
Okay,
wanted
hello.
Yes. Sorry, Milton.
All
Yes,
right.
Sitshengisiwe?
You want me to what? Okay. What I see is that they are the wise and the foolish. But if we go to Daniel chapter 12, whether it's verse 2, verse 4, verse 10, I can't remember correct, I'll check. But in Daniel chapter 12, it says the wise will understand, but the foolish will not, the wicked will not. So we see, for us to be the wise, we have to have the understanding. This movement is the movement of the wise who have the understanding through methodology.
Uthi lana mayiqhathanisa ke ubona abahlanu laba abahlakaniphile baba nokuzwisisa uma uqhathanisa nalaba abangahlakaniphanga abayiwula. Laba abayiwula banako ukuzwisisa okukahle. So kuthiwa kule movement yalaba abahlakaniphile ngoba banako ukuzwisisa okuyikona kona.
Okay, thank you for that. Do we know the fulfillment of this verse?
Ngabe siyazi ukugcwaliseka kwale verse?
Of this, sorry, not verse.
The parable.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes,
Hello?
Milton, while others are thinking, yes,
So I wanted to add to that illustration.
yes.
So me, I'm seeing the kingdom of heaven on the right side. No information is given about it. And then on the second side, that's when you have the 10 virgins. They are going to explain what the kingdom looks like. So information is going to come from the 10 virgins, but it's being compared to the kingdom of heaven, but there's no information on that.
Okay, sorry,
Okay, so it must
repeat that again.
So on that illustration you've put on the board, you can put the kingdom of heaven, but there's no information. Let's say it's a circle, there's no information. So we have to use one side to understand the other side.
Okay, so I must
uthi
kingdom in
masibuka
a circle,
maqalwa-ke.
ne?
Yes.
So in order to understand each side, we need to?
In order to understand the kingdom of heaven, which we have said it's symbolically representing the spiritual kingdom, information is not given about that. The 10 virgins are going to explain how it looks like, and I think it will give more as we go on.
Okay. Okay, because there's no information on the kingdom, because the subject itself is spiritual. The 10 virgins, which are the natural, the 10 virgins are going to give us information to explain the spiritual.
Okay, intombi lezi eziyishumi zivela ngendlela yemvelo, kuzochazwa sibone okukamoya ukuthi mhlawumbe isifundo esingasikho esikamoya isiphi sona kahle hle la.
Hello?
That's right, Milton.
Yes.
Okay, Elder G.
Okay. So from what we have learned so far, we are seeing that verse 2 is enlarging from verse 1. And verse
Esikubukayo
1,
masibona sibona ukuthi verse 2 uyanda ukusuka verse 1.
so verse 1, we have the 10 virgins, and verse 2 saying the 5 were foolish, the 5 were wise. So verse 1 is telling us these 10 virgins, they all took their lamps. So we have lamps also in the picture, and there is the issue of them meeting the bridegroom.
Uthi masiqala siyabona ukuthi kuneyintombi ezilishumi, masiqhubeka sibona ukuthi abanye bebahlakaniphile, abahlanu bebayiwula, bese siyabona masiqhubeka nevesi ukuthi bekuneyibane bekumele babe nazo. Mawuqhubeka ke nomfanekiso uyanawo phambili, kuvela ekuhlanganeni kwabo nomkhwenyana.
So we have 10 lamps also there.
Siney'bane ezilishumi ke futhi lapho.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We've got 10 lamps, and also we see a repeat and enlarge.
Hello, Rasedi.
Siney'bane ezilishumi bese siyabona ukwanda nokuqhubeka.
Hello, Tepo.
And also,
Yes, continue. And then
yes.
after you, Tepo will speak.
Okay, there's this part of verse 1 which is saying, okay, the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins. There's this
Akunale
part,
ngxenye khona ku-verse 1 eveza
yeah,
ukuthi umbuso wezulu uzofaniswa
says which took their lamps. So
ifaniswa ney'ntombi ezilishumi abathatha ke ibani zabo.
there is also some information on the part of they all took lamps.
Kukhona okukhona lapho mawubuka ukuthi bonke bathatha ibani zabo.
And it says, and went forth, they all went forth.
Ithi bahamba bonke.
And it's present in this time this verse is being given.
Kungaleso sikhathi la ivesi liphiwa khona.
Yeah, those are some of the things I just wanted to add.
Okunye ebengifisa ukuveza lokho.
Okay, thank you so much, Elder G. Tepo?
No, I just wanted to ask if you don't want to bring those 5 questions again, why, what, because there's these 10 visions. We need to know why are they there from the first place? What are, I think if you add those 5 questions also, it's gonna help leading us understand this parable.
Okay, so we're going to add these questions.
Okay, sizofaka le mbuzo emhlane khona esisiza ukuthi sikwazi ukuzwisisa
Why?
ukuthi kungani,
What?
kuyini,
How?
kanjani,
When? What's that last one?
kunini, and where.
And where? Thank you.
Nakuphi futhi.
And who? Sorry. Yes, thank you, Tepo. So which one are we going to tackle?
Yiphi esingaqala ngayo?
Hello, Rasedi.
No,
Yes, Victor?
Okay, so I don't know whether I'm correct, but I want to try.
Angazi noma
If I
ngizobe
look-
ngilungile kodwa ngiyafisa ukuzama.
If I look deeply into this, I see something.
Mangibuka
Okay,
ngokujulile
so
kule vesi khona engikubonayo.
I see that you cannot take the lamp if it is on the meantime.
Sorry, if it is what?
On the meantime, daylight. If it is during the daylight,
Okay, ngesikhathi semini awukwazi ukuthi uthathe isibani lesi.
but you can take the lamp if it is during the night.
Kodwa ungathatha isibani makusebusuku.
So it is clear here that they took their lamps when the night began, or when the sunset began.
bathatha iy'bani zabo makuqala ukuhlwa
So that they will go until the midnight.
ukuze bahambe baze bafike phakathi nobusuku.
Yeah, this is what I see.
Yilokho engikubonayo.
Okay, so they're taking a light. Your suggestion is that the 10 are taking the lamps when it is daylight, and then they did you say they're traveling?
So they are traveling, yes, until midnight.
Okay, so they're on a journey, they're traveling.
So basendleleni bayahamba.
They're traveling just okay, so so it's daylight and they start moving. Okay, wait. So daylight, are they traveling?
So yes, they were traveling daylight, but it means that this journey began maybe beginning from sunset onward.
Ubuka uthi mhlambe uhambo loluqale mase kuhlwa kuqhubeka kuya.
Okay, so I don't know if you can, where can I draw? Okay, so if you look at the board, so if the blue here is sunset.
Mawubuka la ibhodini blue mayibuka nje nge-sunset.
Okay.
It seems like Rasedi is kicked out. Let's just give you some moments to join.
Okay.